Okay. We have like 10 people, so I'll start the live stream and then we can get started, inshallah. I think I can close it. I'm not sure. No, it says the video is private. Okay. Maybe someone can check that that's actually happening. Anyway, assalamu alaikum again, everyone. Welcome again. This is our third week studying the 29th word on the immortality of man's spirit, angels, and resurrection. Inshallah, we have Dr. Yamina here to help us with the text as we go through it and engage with it, inshallah. So last week we had a lot of questions and some of them didn't really get answered. So I'm going to try to stick to the text so that we can kind of get as much as we can out of it and have Dr. Yamina guide us on how to use the text. And we'll do more of like a Q&A maybe, or any maybe out of topic questions towards the end. We want to stay on topic, but if anything's too confusing or it's stuck on your mind, we can do it at the towards the end. So as we read the text, if there are any words that are tripping you up or if any concepts, please feel free to raise your hand or write in the chat or stop me. Otherwise, I will reread the last two paragraphs of the section. And I think once I do that, maybe I'll pose a few questions to Dr. Yamina and then we can see where we go from there. Okay, so Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Here you go. Actually, I'll stay here. Okay. Indeed, a species of the spirit beings and angels is present in every aspect, in every sphere of the universe, each charged with a duty of worship. It may be said, according to both the narrations of hadiths and the wisdom in the order of the world, that from lifeless planets and stars to raindrops, all are ships or vehicles for a kind of angel. The angels mount these vehicles with divine permission and travel, observing the manifest world. They represent their praise and glorification. It also may be said that certain sorts of living bodies act as aeroplanes for different kinds of spirits. From the birds of paradise, called the green birds, in a hadith which says, the spirits of the people of paradise enter into green birds in the intermediate realm and travel around paradise in them, to flies, each is a vehicle for a sort of spirit. The spirits enter into them at a divine command, and through the faculties and senses of those living bodies, like the eyes and ears, observe the miracles of creation in the corporeal world. They perform the particular glorification of each. Lastly, just as reality necessitates it to be thus, so does wisdom. For with an intense activity, the all-wise maker continuously creates subtle life and luminous intelligent beings from dense earth, which has little connection with spirit, and from turbid water, which has small relation with the light of life. He surely then creates certain sorts of intelligent beings from the seas of light, and even from the oceans of darkness, from the air, electricity, and other subtle matter, suitable for spirit and appropriate for life. And surely these creatures are exceedingly numerous. So this is the end of this section. One of the questions that keep coming to me is it's still a bit unclear what we mean when we say angels or spirit beings, because it seems that the text refers to them as, separate entities, separate beings that have life and consciousness, and that do certain actions like worshiping and glorification and praise. Then we have this sort of abstraction, like the consciousness of the universe is also represented by what we call angels. Then there's also the idea of meaning. So any sort of like meaning I see in existence and creation is also sort of equal to angels. So for me, that's a point of confusion, and I was wondering if Dr. Yamina, you could help us understand how we should approach the word angel. Like, what kind of concept should we have in mind while reading the text here? I don't know if she's on mute or if she didn't hear me.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm waiting for other comments, but as far as the reading is concerned, I suggest that we are more patient and wait, because this is only the introduction. And in the introduction, he's only saying that such beings, I won't even say angels because we don't still know exactly what he's talking about, but he's talking about something that is beyond the corporeal, the physical, something akin to spirit exist, that such beings, not only we are told in the tradition, in the Quran, in the Hadith, that they exist, and there the name is angels, but he is also saying from the point of view of reality and wisdom, he's saying the nature of the world necessitates we can understand that there must be something. So I think in the introduction, if we understand the reasoning behind this, that would be the point.
Got it. So we shouldn't really go in with any preset notions, but just start with the idea that there's something more to the corporeal world.
Mm-hmm. And this something is to do with the worship, with glorification. We can read the text again. Actually, if we stay with the text, it'll be better so we can follow step by step. So in the beginning, he says, I'm just reading, but emphasizing some parts. It may be said that the existence of the angels and spirit beings is as definite as that of human beings and animals, because human beings and animals, we see them. We are experiencing it. He's saying so it means at the end of this 29th word, if we follow the reasoning and reflect on it, we will have no doubt, we have no doubt about animals, we will have no doubt about the existence of these angels and spirit beings, whatever they are right now. He's saying, as explained in the first step of the 15th word, you can go to the 15th word, he talks about, because this subject is not only in the 29th word. It's in different places as well. But what he's saying here, reality undoubtedly requires, and wisdom, hikmah, certainly demands that like the earth, the heavens have inhabitants, and that its inhabitants are intelligent and suitable. That, like the earth, the heavens also has inhabitants, and these inhabitants are intelligent and they are suitable for the heavens. And in the tongue, in the language of the Sharia, those inhabitants, of which there are numerous kinds, there are different varieties, are called malaika and ruhaniyat, they are angels and spirit beings. Reality requires it to be thus, and he's going to explain why. Because despite the earth's smallness, the earth is small, I mean, compared with just the galaxy, the galaxy we live in, and there are so many other galaxies, it's a tiny little thing. Even the sun that's so big compared with the earth is a tiny star among myriads of stars. So it's saying the earth is so small, and despite its smallness and insignificance in relation to the heavens, it is being filled, or it is filled with intelligent beings. So a small earth full of all kinds of intelligent beings. And from time to time, these intelligent beings are not here all the time. It's new generations, like we're talking about not only human beings, all kinds of animals, insects, things that we see, that we don't see, and they are coming and going. There is a flow, a constant, continuous flow. So that from time to time, the earth is being emptied and then refilled with new ones. This fact suggests that indeed, and states clearly that the heavens also, just like we see this in the earth, then in the heavens too, with their majestic constellations, like adorned palaces, are filled with animate creatures that are the light. Oh, okay, this sentence I can't follow in English. So he's saying Nuru wujudun nuru olan zi hayat. So the light with living beings that are the light of existence, and conscious beings that are the light of living beings, and even more like conscious, I don't know, they will idrak, understanding beings. They are filled with those beings. So he is using a comparison of the heavens and the earth. If the earth is tiny and has all these beings, then the huge heavens must also have beings that have life, intelligence, understanding, consciousness. And he is going to tell us why, explain why. Like men, like human being and the jinn, because we know that jinn are like human beings. They are conscious beings that are able to worship, to know God and worship God. Those creatures, the creatures that we still don't know what they are, but there must be other beings in the heavens, in the rest of the universe, are spectators of the palace of the world. This is very important. They are spectators of the palace of the world, because this is what the reasoning from which we understand the necessity of their existence. And the ponderers over the book of the universe. The universe is created like a palace. It means ordered. It means adorned, embellished. We are told again in the Quran that the stars are made as zina, as embellishment, adornment. And all the pictures that we get of little things, they are just so beautiful. The colors, and so he's saying all this art requires spectators and ponderers because of the book of the universe. It means it's like a book, it's to be read. Iqra bismi rabbika. It's full of messages from the unseen. It's full of messages about who we are, who the creator is, about the purpose of life. And these beings are the ponderers over this book of the universe and heralds of this realm of Rububiyyah. Rububiyyah is being manifested everywhere with the universal and comprehensive worship. So the whole thing, remember, we have not been created except to worship God. If there is something to be worshipped, then there must be a worshipper. Just like we are created to worship, otherwise everything will be in vain. If we don't understand its purpose, our creation will be in vain, our life will be meaningless and purposeless. And when we are not worshiping, when we are not consciously glorifying God through his creation, then our attitude is like saying indirectly that everything is created in vain, as if it has no purpose, no meaning, nothing. But the fact is that it has purpose, it has meaning, it is beautiful, it is created with order, with wisdom. So all over where we don't reach, there must be something that worships God. And worship means they understand, they admire, they appreciate, they glorify, they proclaim the beauty and the order and all the beautiful names of God. So they're just like us, they are also created to worship God and proclaim his Rububiyyah. And they represent the glorification, the tasbihat of the large and universal beings in the universe. Everything is glorifying God. Whatever is representing their glorification looks to that being, to these angelic, malakuti, ruhani beings. Remember, how do we glorify God? Because we witness the glorification in the universe. Actually, we are taught to glorify through the glorification of the creation. In the Quran, it says, look at them, how they are glorifying. When we look at them, we are made to appreciate. Let's say there is a huge, beautiful tree. The way it is created makes us admire, makes us feel awe. Let's say it's huge, makes us feel admiration. It is glorifying, and it is make us glorify with it when we are interacting with it consciously, reading the signs. It is created in a way that is glorifying, and we echo those glorifications. So it's teaching us alam al-shahada. They are witnessing and proclaiming the beautiful names of God in a way that we can comprehend and understand, and so we can participate with them. Whatever represents the glorification of the tree looks to the angels. And so it is everywhere in the universe where we cannot reach as well. So they represent the glorification of everything, the large and universal beings of them. The nature of the universe surely points to their existence, the nature, the way the universe is made. For since it is embellished and decked out with uncountable numbers of finely adorned works of art and meaningful decorations and wise embroideries, wise wisdom looks to benefits. It's not just done like it looks pretty, but it has no function. It's self-evidently the way it is made with wisdom, with art, with beauty, with self-evidently requires the gazes of thoughtful admirers and wondering, appreciative lovers. It demands their existence. Yes, just as beauty requires a lover, so is food given to the hungry. So beauty requires a lover, a ponderer. Otherwise it wouldn't be beauty. They are created together. That's why we can talk about it. Thus, the sustenance of spirits, why is he talking about food? Because he's saying the sustenance of spirits and the nourishment of hearts in this boundless beauty of art looks to the angel and spirit beings. I mean, if we look at fruit or fruit tree, you can say, okay, it's fruit, it's food for the body. But the tree, before the fruit comes, is full of flowers. And then the fruit itself is very pretty. You cut it. Inside also is very pretty. Even the food, when we eat it, okay, the flesh of the fruit is sustenance for the physical body, but if we reflect on all these things and we don't just pass by very quickly, we say, oh, beautiful tree, beautiful flowers. If we stay there, and how come something out there speaks to me, attracts my attention, gives me, actually, if we pay attention, you feel your chest like opening up, your heart. You feel the peace if we give it some time and pause and actually interact and stay just there and appreciate it. We'll realize how much it means to us. You take that fruit and before you eat it, you look at it. Subhanallah, how it's made in such a perfect way. We eat it and we reflect on the effect it has on us physically as well. All this, even if we don't go to the physical, the art is not nourishment for the body, but it is nourishment for the heart, for the soul. And this is saying the sustenance of spirits and nourishments of heart in this boundless beauty of art looks to the angel and spirit beings. What is it? I am not eating like the body is eating the flesh of the fruit. When I'm just looking at the art and the heart, the soul is being nourished, it feels being filled, being refreshed, being renewed. What is going on there? That nourishment looks to the angel and spirit beings. It points to them. There is an interaction beyond or above the physical, the corporeal. For while this infinite adornment requires an infinite duty of contemplation, this point is important. We talked about it actually before. And worship, this infinite adornment requires infinite contemplation and worship. Man and jinn can perform only a millionth of that infinite duty. That's when we are consciously doing what we're supposed to do. Most of the time, we don't even do that. That wise supervision, that extensive worship, we do only, what we perform is only a millionth. Actually, it's less than a millionth. Millionth is just a word. What we do is, even if 24/7, we are in awe and proclaiming Allah's art and wisdom and proclaiming his rububiyyah, this duty, this wise supervision, this extensive worship is very, very, very tiny compared with the perfection, the beauty, the adornment, the vastness, the infinite creation that is beyond what we can even see. Even on earth, it's beyond our grasp. This means that boundless varieties of angel and spirit beings are necessary to perform those duties of worship. We can't, but they are not created without, what was he saying before? Ponderers and spectators. Someone is doing that duty. Those someone are angels and spirit beings. And to fill and inhabit the mighty mosque of the world with their ranks. The world, the universe is created as a mosque. It means a masjid, a place of sajda, a place of, if there is rububiyyah, then it requires ubudiyyah. And this ubudiyyah, someone is doing this, is in a state of worship all the time. Those are the part of the creation that looks to worship, to glorification. That's the angels.
So there's a
question too.
Yeah, there was the text from Sarah that I wanted to in the chat. I wanted to read. The introduction is setting us up to confirm that there must be an existence fit for the celestials that is illuminated and reflect highly illuminated consciousness that worship God in the most beautiful way. That is reasonable to me. And then she also had this excerpt from Dr. Yamina. If there's something to be worshipped, there must be a worshiper. And I guess if we move along to the next, things will unpack more because this is very condensed. Everything is, as it were, in the introduction. But I feel like if we keep reading, that will be helpful further. And then Inaba has a comment.
Yeah, just a quick question. So are we, is a part of the methodology here that we are learning to understand more deeply and also recognize the connection to what is being revealed to us in the recitation of the Quran as something we have already experienced in our life, but we're learning, we're giving a better description of it, and we're saying actually that thing that you were already experiencing, those are the angels, or are we saying that there's something that you've never experienced before, you've never noticed the angels before, and now you're learning about a way to notice something that you've never had an experience with before? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I remember learning the core message from the Risale and from the Quran that this creation is a sign. It's a sign pointing to the Creator. And the reason why that that message could, entirely speak to me, and I could therefore grasp onto it and continue to benefit from realizing every day that my life, it consists of signs that are being sent to me, pointing me to the one who is sending these signs to me, is because the reason that worked was because it was already something that I had experienced, tasted, even just a little bit of it. Certainly when I learned more about this method and had better descriptions of it and more words to contemplate on it, the deepening happened, the understanding continued to deepen. But at least it started with an acknowledgement that, yes, didn't you, that experience that you already had when you were looking out at the sunset and you said that something here is telling me that this was made by a maker. It was because I had already had that experience that I could confirm it. So when we're talking about angels, are we talking about something that we have already experienced in our life, tasted even just a little bit? Or are we talking about something that has never occurred to us and we're looking for a way to understand it?
I think I'll just share what I got from Dr. Yamina, which I was going to share regardless. Thank you, Dr. Yamina, for that clarification. I really love the emphasis on the spiritual nourishment of the wise embroideries. So I think regardless, every human being, regardless of subscribing to a theology or not, will look at a tree or an ocean or a mountain and receive a message. How majestic, how peaceful, etc. So now Dr. Yamina is saying, let's pause. And if we stay there, we're not just enjoying the sound of H2O moving. There's some sort of communication happening unto me. And the question she asked that I wrote down was like, how is this? How can something out there be talking to me? And yeah, so like Ziva said, in Isra, I believe that the text, inshallah, we'll continue reading the text. Jazakillah khair, Nur Banu, for the opening emphasis, and Dr. Yamina. And inshallah, we will discover more how to hear and interpret this communication as the Malakuti side. Bismillah.
Thank you guys for sharing. I think that's sort of answers Anaba's question, but I think as we read more, that'll become more clear.
No, actually it's not.
No?
Because for me, it's staying ambiguous as to are we talking about something that we have already tasted before in our lives, and that it's actually through our own experience that we will arrive to confirmation of the angels? Or is it something that with more and more like reading here, but no connection to something I can already grasp, that we'll be able to understand?
And I think it's both, right? I mean, it's not something totally we haven't noticed at all before. And, as Sarah was saying, that we feel some presence, even if we can't name it. So on the one hand, it is this angels discussion will help us name what we have gotten a taste of, but getting a taste of perhaps is not the same as, being immersed in it. So then we also trying to, fine tune our receptors, so we feel the presence and be part of that, angelic glorification as well. So it's both, right? I mean, and ultimately, of course, we, inshallah, we'll be able to witness it either way. But in order to witness, sometimes we need to, fine tune our receptors and really start noticing it. So it's a bit of both.
Okay.
It's both in the sense of from one aspect, we are already created with a fitra, with in a way that is in touch with everything, more or less. It depends on people and how much we allow it, how much we bury it. However, what it means, we need the help of divine guidance and divine revelation. It's like when we say signs, I'm just giving an example, it's not exactly like that. It's like I'm going around in a city, and everywhere I see things being hanged. So after a while, I start noticing that they look like each other. So, but let's say I don't have a sense of language. It's not like I have a language, now it must be another language in another writing. If someone has no sense of language, still you can see that why are they all this similar? What are these things? And then suddenly someone comes and says, this is a language and we'll teach you how to read this language. So this is not just ink on paper or on a wall. These shapes actually have meanings. So that's the metaphor we used for signs, or the book of the universe, something that can be read. So you start reading. Someone is teaching you that these shapes have meaning, and now you have, but because we are created with the concept of language, then we don't say, what is language? Not like other animals, for instance. So abstract language, we start reading. Here, there is another way of looking. Instead of the book of the universe, everything is speaking, everything is glorifying, everything is witnessing and proclaiming the beautiful names of God and his unity and everything. So now it's about speaking. Who is speaking? When I am looking at the interacting with the tree, with the sunset, what is it there that is speaking to me? This tree is speaking. It means the tree is not what I thought it was. There is, now we can communicate and glorify together. So that part is what we need the guidance of the Quran for. And of course, we need to practice it. It's like practicing the reading of the language. Here, it's a more dynamic it's not a metaphor, actually. It's what's going on in the world. What's going on is actually more than that. It's at the one looks to, let's say, maybe to the intellect. The other one looks more now, the heart and the soul are also involved. And when the heart and the soul are involved, we need more consciousness than we are when we are understanding intellectually. We still need consciousness there. Here we need more consciousness, especially when the body is involved. The body is created for worship, not for something else. So when I'm interacting with the sunset, what I'm feeling there, I'm feeling it in my body as well. So I pay attention to all what's going on, and reading all that will facilitate this understanding, inshallah. It's interacting with the universe at a higher level of consciousness.
Thank you, Dr. Yamina. I think that sets us up to start reading the first aim. So I'll read a little bit and then we can do some more questions or comments. Inshallah. First aim, to believe in the angels and affirm that belief is a pillar of faith. There are 4 fundamental points in this aim. First fundamental point, the perfection of existence is through life. Rather, the true existence of existence is through life. Life is the light of existence, and consciousness is the light of life. Life is the summit and foundation of everything. Life appropriates everything for living beings. It is as though it makes one thing the owner of everything. Through life, a living thing may say, all these things belong to me. The world is my house. The universe is my property, given to me by my owner. Just as light is the cause of things being seen, and according to some of the existence of colors, so is life the revealer of beings. It is the cause of their qualities being realized. Furthermore, it makes an insignificant particular, general and universal, and is the cause of universal things being concentrated in a particular. It is also the cause of all the perfections of existence by, for example, making innumerable things cooperate and unite, and making them the means of unity and being endowed with spirit. Life is even a sort of manifestation of divine unity in the levels of multiplicity and a mirror reflecting divine oneness. I really liked the beginning here, Dr. Yamina, if you have anything to kind of eliminate this.
How about we carry on, because the example he gives will make things easier, I think, to follow, and then we can go back.
Perfect. Okay. Consider the following. A lifeless object, even if it is a great mountain, is an orphan, a stranger, alone. Its only relations are with the place in which it is situated and with the things which encounter it. Whatever else there is in the cosmos, it does not exist for the mountain. For the mountain has neither life through which it might be related to life, nor consciousness by which it might be concerned. Now consider a tiny object, like a bee, for example. The instant life enters it, it establishes such a connection with the universe that it is as though it concludes a trading agreement with it, especially with the flowers and plants of the earth. It can say, the earth is my garden, it is my trading house. Thus, through the unconscious instinctive senses, which impel and stimulate it, in addition to the well-known 5 external senses and inner senses of animate beings, the bee has a feeling for and a familiarity and reciprocal relationship with most of the species in the world, and they are at its disposal. I'll continue. If life then displays its effect thus in the tiniest of animate beings, certainly when it rises to the highest level, that of man, it will be revealed and extended and illumined to such a degree that just as a human being is able to move through the rooms of his house with his consciousness and mind, which are the light of life, so he may travel through the higher and spiritual and corporeal worlds with them. That is to say, just as that conscious and animate being may go in spirit as though as a guest to those worlds too come as guests to his mirror-like spirit by being reflected and depicted there. Life is a most brilliant proof of the all-glorious one's unity and one of the greatest sources of his bounty. It is a most subtle manifestation of his compassionateness and a most hidden, unknowable, and incomparable embroidery of his art. Life is hidden and subtle because the life of plants even, which is the lowest of the levels of life, and the awakening of the life force in seeds, that is, their stirring, opening, and growth, which are the first steps in plant life, has remained unfathomed by human science since the time of Adam, despite being so evident and familiar, so ubiquitous and common. Man's reason has been unable to discover its true reality. Moreover, life is so pure and unblemished that in both its aspects, that is, in both its inner and outer faces, it is pure, translucent, transparent. Not veiling it with causes, the hand of power touches it directly, whereas it made apparent causes a veil to be the source of the insignificant aspects of things and their base external qualities, which are inappropriate to the dignity of power. These last parts are a bit dense for me. So I can kind of see having life and consciousness is how we connect with everything around us and start some sort of like meaning making. But the sort of subtlety of life and the like causes or the uncausal nature of life that Nursi is talking about here, I don't fully understand how I'm supposed to think about that in the context of angels and ruhaniyat and melekutiyat. Do you have any guidance for us, Dr. Yamina?
How about we start reading from the beginning and follow?
Yeah.
Keeping in mind this question, when we read the text with the question in mind, then we're more likely to find the answers, inshallah.
Okay, start from the first fundamental point.
Maybe we can just start sharing what we found helpful or unhelpful. Like if we have questions, back to the beginning is a good idea. And then like, is there anything that's jumping at you in this beginning or any of us?
Definitely life, which for me, al-Hayy, right? And Dr. Yamina has brought us to witnessing the breath so much that I felt immediate agreement and alignment with what he was saying. Life is the light of existence and consciousness is the light of life. So being aware that there's an observer who can witness this life coming in and life leaving is the light, and it's the highest point or the summit. And I like that Dr. Yamina said the example of the mountain versus the bee. Like certainly life entering something is, he says in the second paragraph, sort of manifestation of divine unity in the levels of multiplicity. And that reminded me of what we studied with Ahadiyya and Wahidiyya. a mirror reflecting divine oneness, because life is single and unique, though in the multiplicity of all beings, life is, it just points to El Hay. I'll pause there. But for me, that was just the first opening part. This first page was easier to sort of grasp the main point.
One thing that stands out to me is basically what you're saying about divine unity and oneness. And here he's saying, making innumerable things cooperate and unite. So like in being given life and spirit, there is a single entity, Nurban. So there is this unifying aspect of me being given life. And it puts together so many things in me, you know, physically, obviously my body is made up of like a billion different things, but even abstractly, you know, all my memories, emotions, thoughts, opinions, everything that I identify with are unified because I'm being given life and I'm endowed with spirit in a way that gives me like a unified experience of creation. So that sort of goes back to something we talked about in the first meeting, which was when Dr. Yamina said, you know, just like I'm not only made of flesh and bone, the universe can't be made of just matter. So to me, there seems to be then, there should be this sort of unifying factor in other things I witness in the universe as a whole, that maybe help, that may help me understand this idea about the spirit realm and angels a little bit. Tasnia, go ahead.
So what I'm getting from the example of the mountain and a bee is, so the mountain, when it was created for like a purpose, right? But the mountain itself doesn't have consciousness to know that it was created for a purpose, which you know, whatever the scientific understanding of a mountain is. And then so I found that very striking. Like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like Nursi's saying, like, you know, the mountain doesn't have life and it doesn't have consciousness to be concerned about, you know, its creation. So that to me was like, okay, that's interesting. And then it goes into talking about, you know, kind of like the contrast of like a tiny thing like a bee. And even the bee, when it comes into existence, without knowing, like it's been given this sort of like these senses, like it's just been made to go from flower to flower, collect nectar, and then through that nectar, it sort of pollinates. And then, you know, like all these like, say, fruits and vegetables come into existence. But the bee itself has no consciousness that it's doing that. And I find that striking, where here it's like, and then it comes to me, Tasnia, a human being, I've been given this consciousness to see the interconnectedness, how like even the mountain and the bee are connected, like in the hills of many mountains, like in the, you know, the summits and stuff like that, there's like, you know, trees and flowers that where the bee resides, and like basically all this interconnectedness happens, like it's a home for these things. But the mountain itself has no awareness, the bee itself has no awareness, but I have this awareness. Like I am being made to understand. So I find that striking, that it's almost like I've been pulled out of the interconnectedness somehow, like not that I'm not a part of it, but I'm am witnessing it. Like I'm the only one. Like I, Destiny Soldana, a human being, is one of the perhaps few creations of this world, the seen world, that can witness this. So I don't know, that to me was very striking. And it's kind of like, well, I've been made differently. Like I've been, like the bee has been made to do all these tasks unconsciously, but I've been given a consciousness, and yet I'm not a part of like this whole thing of like, you know, going from flower to flower. Like that's not my task. So anyways, I don't know if I'm making sense, but I found all those things interesting about the consciousness, about, you know, an inanimate object to now an animate object, and then now to me. And it's kind of like, wow, so this is like, this consciousness is a responsibility. That's kind of how it seems like. So yeah.
Okay, to build off of what Tasnia, what you just said, like what you just said, setting up the platform. For me, now the question is coming, why wouldn't I also recognize or acknowledge or expect that actually someone is communicating to me through my consciousness? Like if I'm actually, it is true that this message is coming in a form of a language that I can't put into a textbook, but it's some sort of message communication that is coming in through my consciousness. Why haven't I asked the question, is that me doing that, or is that someone communicating to me?
I like that. I think that the idea that, okay, so we have this second order awareness, like I am conscious and I am aware of my own consciousness. And now I am questioning, like, why was I made aware of this? And what is this ability supposed to teach me about how to live my life? We
So
have 2 minutes.
Nur Banu, I actually like that. So can you write that down and send it to us? Because yeah, so as Inaba said, like, yeah, why have I been made conscious of this? Like I feel like the rest of the world, the seen world, is unconscious. They just do it instinctively, but I have not been made to do things in an unconscious, instinctive way.
So that we don't go that, if we go that path, we are not following here at all. Here, there is something there, but here, when we are saying they don't have a consciousness at all, we are going to miss the point, because from the beginning he's saying the perfection of existence is through life, and the true existence of existence is through life, and the light of existence and consciousness is the light of life. So if consciousness, life is very important, and more important than that is consciousness. So even though he's giving the examples, these examples are the consciousness of the bee compared with our consciousness, the life of the mountain compared to the life of the bee compared to our life. However, if there is no consciousness, zero consciousness, it means zero life. It means there is nothing existing. Since things exist, there must be some consciousness, something that represents that existence there. That's what looks to the angels. That's I think Nur Banu's question at the very beginning. What is this to do with the angels? So now, in order to understand even our consciousness and why we are given this consciousness, this will help us, because now we are going intellectually, but with the guidance of with divine guidance, we are told stay there. Okay, I am conscious of my consciousness, but I'm also conscious that without any consciousness, there would be no existence. But things exist around me. So it means there must be, they are exuding some kind of consciousness as well. Let's stay there first, because we will understand ourselves in the mirror of what we witness, inshallah. Otherwise, we will be just speculating about ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Anyone-
really from that, for me, it was really about like notice, like if what if we didn't take for granted that we are receiving messages, and we stop thinking that we're the ones who are the finders of the message. What if we started to acknowledge that just like everything else is coming to us in this life, like my breathing is coming to me in this life, what if I acknowledged that the message, it is the messages that I find are also coming to me from someone? For me, currently, what I'm currently understanding from this reading is that that is the evidence, or the pointing to the angels, for us to recognize that, like, our experience of awareness is an angelic experience when we're properly aware that we're not the ones creating it, and we're not the ones that are finding the meaning without anyone else assisting us in finding the meaning.
And the text is saying is that we are already experiencing it, but and the examples given by mountain and bees are just to give us a gradation of consciousness. Maybe that everything has that side of it, but how much you fine tune it, that much you will experience it, I think. So to understand that is the consciousness, the existence itself is the proof that both these sides exist, but how much we interact and acknowledge it, I think that's where we will experience that side of angelic experience. I think that's what we understand.
Thank you guys for sharing. I think this is, I don't want to say pain point, but I think this is something we should reflect on for the upcoming week, and continue next week, inshallah. It is 9:04. Dr. Yamina, if you have any closing statements or any guidance for how we should think about consciousness and life and angels as homework, maybe you can give us a kind of closer here, and then we can make our dua, inshallah.
Maybe just go over the text you've already read and shared with us today, and reflect, read to the end, inshallah, and reflect. And if the more questions we have, the more the text will speak to us, inshallah.
Thank you, guys. I will stop the recording here, and